The universe is a virtual reality. And what is the purpose of these experiences in a human form, human avatar? I have to start out, I was thinking about a story Tom Campbell told after you die and transition to another reality, and then you essentially go to this area where, you know, other beings come to you and help you transition and decide what you're going to do next. But he told this bizarre story. You know, they put you in a line and tell you to wait here, but the line actually served no purpose other than a place to park you and let you get over the shock of dying and changing realities. And I hadn't thought of that in a long time, and I was at a Social Security office yesterday, and you get in there and you know, you take a number and they give you a letter to it. Like I figured out, kind of like A was for retirement benefits and B was probably disability, and then Z was just anything else, like you lost a Social Security card or something. And so you wait your turn, and then it tells you what window to go to. But there's all these people sitting there, and I'm sitting with them. A black vulture over there. But regardless of how many waiting rooms or lines you get in, and and perhaps transitioning to another reality or avatar or life, or reincarnating here or incarnating elsewhere, you do come down to that. The question for the ages is, what is the purpose of life or this existence, and what happens afterwards? And I talked a little bit in the last video about the Abrahamic faith, which of course think you go to heaven or paradise for eternity or something along that. There's a final destination, and you live once, and then the judgment. I believe Paul may have said that. It was in the New Testament. And then the Eastern religions tend to see it more cyclical, that you do come back, and then other, you know, beliefs think that you keep coming back, perhaps, good Lord, thousands of times or something, just one after another. And then that seems hard to comprehend as well, as an eternal ending where you go to heaven or hell or somewhere forever. And then you have scientific materialism, which of course thinks there's blackness, then you're a flash of consciousness in the grand time scale of the universe, and then you go back to blackness. So you're a very small blip on the screen of consciousness that comes and goes. And perhaps from more of a moderate view, there is something else. And if it is a virtual reality, the universe is a simulation or virtual reality, program reality, then perhaps this just is a step, a stage, and perhaps you do come back or go elsewhere. Perhaps the other parts of this universe are to yet a completely different universe. But most of them, in those scenarios where they're, other than an eternal destination of heaven or hell, then it's usually more of a, well, you go through these stages and lives or avatars to increase your consciousness. And he's starting to pan again. And but then still, it's what's the purpose of all that, which generally say as well to go back into the higher consciousness ultimately and join with that. So perhaps that is what the ultimate purpose is continue increasing your consciousness, and some would call it your spirituality, and until you don't come back. And for others, the hope is to leave here and go to eternal heaven. Everyone has their hope. And and even faith, which it's the beliefs that are generating hope and faith. And of course, even in the New Testament, Apostle Paul writes about love, hope, faith. I looked that up because I always wondered, I studied theology, and I finally looked it up, hope. And if you go back, the more archaic definition was very close to faith. It was a much stronger word, you know. Hope sounds kind of iffy. And it actually was a stronger word back over the centuries, and so it kind of made more sense he was using that. Why would he say hope? That doesn't sound very comforting. So the purpose of the universe is a virtual reality or a simulation, program reality, or perhaps from the Old Testament, New Testament version, or which would include the Abrahamic faith, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, is you're working towards an end game, an eternal home at the end, where others think you're going to recycle back through here or elsewhere. And that has been really the only purposes put forward, some versions of those. And again, scientific materialism, you're just a flash of consciousness with blackness before and after. So that's it. And where it seems Abrahamic faith, there's an end result, eternal end result. And with the Eastern religions, it's more you're recycled, reincarnated, or something like that. And then where the universe is a virtual simulated program reality, you can start getting into some other possibilities of what the purpose is, and even can include some sort of reincarnation, incarnation within that. I hear American crows off in the distance, and it's like a Carolina wren scold call, as they say. He's probably fussing at us. And I have Eddie panting behind me. There's some water up here. He can get another drink. But you're still back to what is the purpose of the universe, as I was talking about. And regardless of what that may be, it's places like this, hiking on these beautiful afternoons, you can at least live in the present, which is part of it and is part of a gift. Where you know, all the people that talk about prayer and meditation is being able to focus on the present, the now, and let the anxiety and fear of the future drop away, and the past drop away, and just enjoy this. And each person has their own, that strives to do that, has their own way to do it. It may be meditation, or heck, it could be singing, or dancing, or the arts of some type. And for me, it's walking, hiking. I've done this. I'm doing the math. I'm coming up on, it's hard to believe, I'm coming up on 50 years of doing this. And it was my way to find some peace. Others, it's maybe playing the guitar or piano, or maybe it's traveling, which I did that as well. There's Eddie. Eddie, you tired? That gate's down. They take a tractor in there to cut paths, trails. Come on, Sparky. This way. I'll go this way. That went down before. This is where I find, and it's a hobby, somewhat of a spiritual journey, somewhat of a prayer meditation. Each person has their own way. I will say I need to do a video on it. I discovered a few years ago, 4 or 5 years now, 6 years, the binaural beats and isochronic tones, and you can find them on YouTube, and use earbuds and meditate. That's the fast way to meditate, is to change your brain waves. And just so in case you want to look that up, about a 4 megahertz spread. If you read about it, you'll understand the difference, what that means. And actually, some have said it's 3.8 is ideal. 3.8 megahertz difference between your left and right ear. And 4 is good. 4.5 is good. Use that difference for a variety of reasons, but just achieve a meditative state. Like I say, 3.8, 4.0, 4.5 megahertz. Probably go anywhere between 3.5 and 4.5 and try that. And see how that works for you. And then there's the carrier wave or sound. And you just have to try some of them. Some are higher or lower. And it just depends. You just try some of those and see what works. It is subjective. What works for one person may not work for another. They need to adjust it, but you'll know when you hear it if you try a bunch of them. And I save those. There's just search that on YouTube. Binaural beats, isochronic tones, and there's some really good channels. But that's one way you can do it at home, or laying there before you go to sleep, or just relaxing. And it's just a fast way to reach a meditative state, change your brain waves, and instead of going through and of course you're trying to stop your internal dialogue. You're thinking to yourself, your thoughts, and it's very effective, especially if your intent is to do that. It's a red-bellied woodpecker fussing at me. Letting everybody know I'm here. There he goes. He's up in that tree over there. There's a cardinal in front of him. But the point is while you are on the search, your spiritual journey is, and you perhaps, in my case, go out and walk in the woods, but you can also do it at home. Meditation, prayer, many have done that. And you can even use YouTube of all things, and binaural beats, isochronic tones at home, or I've even used them out here and walked and hiked. I haven't done it much since I've out here reconditioning, but I was out here so much in 2013-14, I just carry some little, I just play them and put earbuds in and walk with the dogs and listen to meditation, binaural beats. I think I was running about 4.5, and maybe I think I found some that were 3.8. And just walk through the woods listening to it. But sometimes you just got to enjoy the now. And I remember reading I think it was actually a Christian author, writer, talking about the tyranny of urgency. And now there's always something else to do. But at the end, it's like, well, I do all these little things and spend my whole life doing them, and then where did it get me? Ultimately it didn't get you anywhere. It is the tyranny of urgency. And sometimes, there's always something else you could do other than meditate or pray or go walking with your dogs in the woods, or, and I learned, or work out. I always stayed in good shape. And I learned, they just had, some of these things just had to come first, and I was always working out, and my whole life. And like I said, I'm reconditioning now from a lot of health problems. But keep that in mind, the tyranny of urgency. You know, there's always something else, and sometimes you just need to stop and do some things that are healthy for you.